Hey, hi, good morning. I'm coming at you this morning to give you some tips on searching with Google. Specifically, I want you to be more efficient at finding the results you need, but also able to use the advanced tools to find other information that you might not find with a simple search. So we know this page, right? We know Google, and I think that we think that because we use it a lot, we know everything about it, and we can always find what we need. And if it isn't there, Google won't give it to us magically. Okay, well, there are billions of web pages out there. So most of the things that you're going to want to find on the internet are there. However, they might not be easy to locate, or you might not find exactly what you want. There's a lot of stuff that's close, a lot of stuff that sort of fits what you're looking for, and a lot of stuff that has nothing to do with it that will show up in your results and maybe confuse you or make you give up. So I'm going to try to help you get around that. So let's start with quotation marks. So most of us don't use quotation marks when we search in Google because it takes more time. But if you search with quotation marks, if you're telling Google, I want this exact phrase. So it doesn't make a difference if you type polar bear, if you type bear and search, you're going to get the same results as if you type bear quotation marks. Doesn't make a difference. Okay. If I type polar bear, then it's saying you're telling Google, I only want pages that have those exact words spelled like that, spelling matters, in that order. Okay, so notice that we have 57 million, and in the last page we had 1.4 billion. Okay, so we only have about a third as many results. We managed to narrow it down. Okay, that's generally a good thing. Now, remember that your results are going to be partly filtered by your history unless you turn it off. So when you search polar bear, you might get different things than I do. Okay, so that's an important thing about Google. Unless you log out, Google is going to keep track of things you search for and try to give you what you usually are looking for. So if you're always on Google looking for video games and then you search something about polar bears, your top results might show things about video game polar bears, if such a thing exists. So your search history affects your results. Okay, so that's interesting to keep in mind. Okay, so quotation marks. So let's say that I read somewhere that polar bears are evolving because of climate change. So I can search that exact phrase. Now it's going to search the whole internet for anywhere where those exact words appear exactly in that order. Okay? And yes, it can be case sensitive. Okay? No results found for polar bears are evolving because of climate change. Okay? No one in the internet that Google knows about has ever written that phrase before. Okay? So what does it do? It searches without the quotation mark. So Google is smart enough to fix things if you're too specific. Okay. So if I can search a different way to find that out. Okay. So remember, quotation marks, exact phrase, exact spelling. Now let's say I want to find out about polar bears and climate change. I'm going to leave polar bears in quotation marks, and I'm going to use something else, the not operator. Okay, so I'm going to take off the movie Golden Compass. Had a polar bear in there. Okay, so if I have too many things in my results about this movie, I can put a minus before it. Okay, say I don't want to know about zoos, I can put polar bears minus zoo. It'll take out all results that mention the word zoo. So if you want to get rid of a specific type of page that you're getting a lot, you just put a minus before it and add it to your search. Okay, let's say that I don't want polar bears diet, or I don't want penguins. That shouldn't limit the results, right? Because penguins and polar bears live on opposite sides of the earth, right? Yes, you knew that, right? Okay. All right. So the minus is a way to cut out results. If I'm searching for, my favorite example is if you're searching for somebody named Bieber, but you don't want to hear about Justin, you put minus, and then you get a bunch of results about other Biebers not named Justin. Okay. All right. So let's say that we want to find out more about polar bears and grizzly bears. Should keep quotation marks, right? So I want pages that are about these two kinds of bears. Okay. So now if you put and in the middle, it's only going to give you pages that show both polar bears and grizzly bears information. Okay. So it's a good way to look for people talking about what the... I've never heard of a pizzly before. Well, see, this is what happens when you change your search terms. Okay, so if you use and, it will give you pages that have polar bears and grizzly bears. If they don't have both, it won't show up in the results. Notice it only have 323 million results. That's pretty good. Okay, for Google, that's pretty good, especially something like this. Okay, you saw in there, thanks Google for remembering, what's the effect of climate change on polar bears? You add and it'll give you pages that only talk about those two things. So my first result sounds like something that maybe I want to read. World Wildlife Fund is a site that I usually trust. National Geographic, of course, I trust them, NASA, and so on, okay? So I've got good results that'll talk about polar bears and climate change with only 5 words, okay, and a couple of quotation marks. So I'm starting to get some pretty specific results. This is 1 million results, okay? And most of them seem like they would fit what I want. So that's pretty good. Okay, you know you're an effective user of Google when you can limit your results to mostly what you want in 1 million hits or less. Okay, if I wanted to know about either one of these, just use or, and then any page that has one or the other, this is going to make my results bigger, isn't it? Or it should have. Actually, if you don't capitalize it, it doesn't treat it like a Boolean operator. So if you don't capitalize it, it doesn't work. So now I have 228 million results. Okay, so I went from 1 million to 228 million because I changed and to or. And notice that I had to capitalize it. Okay, so 1,780,000, 1,720,000, 228 million. Okay, so that's a nice way if you have multiple terms and you want any of them. Okay, this one you might not know about. Okay, let's say that I want to do an essay about polar bears and I want to put a picture in there. Okay, let's say I've got this cool picture 640 by 480 is a pretty good resolution. Okay, notice that I mouse over the picture, and then down here it tells me how big the picture is in pixels. That means it's 620 pixels wide and 413 pixels high. Okay, so if you multiply that, then you get your total resolution. That's huge. 1200 by 400. All right, let's say I like this picture, 480 by 256. It's kind of small, and I want a bigger version of it. Okay, I'm going to context click on it to download it. Save image as. I'm going to save it. Now I have a copy of it on my computer, right? And then I can go back up here to search. Okay, and I just click and drag, and it says drop image here. And now it's searched for the image. So it's going to start by telling me there's no other sizes of the image found. So on the whole internet, we couldn't find a bigger version or any other size version. Okay, we've got similar images. So if you like that picture, you can click on this and you can see other pictures that are sort of like it. That's sort of cool. Okay, you can get a whole bunch of different polar bear pictures. Okay, you can also look at other examples of the use of the same picture. Alright, I accidentally turned this into a search for Arctic. Okay, so the last thing let's say we've got our picture of polar bear. We're searching for polar bear images. Okay, and now we want to put it on a website, and we want to advertise on that website, maybe get some money from Google AdWords or something, and we're worried that Google or somebody might get mad at us if we don't have the right permission. Or let's say that your teacher says you shouldn't use other people's pictures without their permission. Okay, so now I want you to try advanced search. This is probably the best part of this because you don't have to remember very much. You just got to remember to look up here and click on these things. So let's say that we want a polar bear picture that we can use freely. So if we want to find a polar bear picture we can use, okay, we have one here in Wikimedia Commons. Okay, that means we can use it. Okay, if we want to find one that's more recent, we can go here to time, and we can say I want polar bear pictures from the past month. Okay, so all of these should have been posted in the last month. Okay, let's just say that we want to do a whole bunch of things at the same time. I'm going to go back to Google, and I think we're covering up. Yeah, I'm going to move my face over here, and we're going to click on settings in the bottom corner, and we're going to click on advanced search. Okay, this screen lets us move myself back. This screen lets us do a whole bunch of different things, including a lot of the things we already said. So sometimes the best thing is to go down to the bottom right corner, click on settings, and find advanced search. And let's say that we want to find polar bear. Okay. So we'll put it in quotation marks. Okay. Or you can just type it here, this exact word or phrase. That's the same thing as quotation marks in a regular search, polar bear. And then let's say we want climate change. And let's say that we want sorry, Greta. That's all I can think of looking about. Okay. Let's say we want to stick to English pages. You can put another language if you want results in another language. We want a particular site, so we could put Nat Geo. We can put .edu. It'll only give us results from websites that have that as the end of their domain. Let's say we want this in the title of the page. Okay, let's say that let's say we're not going to search by license right now. And we want it in the past year. Okay, so that's a pretty specific search. So advanced search is a really powerful way to really narrow your results. Okay, we got one result. We win. And it looks like it's not related to what we wanted. Okay, so we need to make our search bigger, so we take off one of those or some of those limits. We don't really care about whether they mention Greta Thunberg or not. We can take away the time, or we can take away any of these. Okay, so notice that all of those are posted on an .edu site. Okay, so hopefully that was a fairly quick tour of 5 basic tools on advanced search. Hopefully that was useful, and I'd love to see you using these tools starting now. Thank you.